Alrighty, welcome everyone. Let's see how this works. A new window here. So today, welcome to all the visitors. We got Interest Society on this side and JCC on that side. You're segregating yourselves. Have to overlap now and then, yeah. Let me set this down so it's not blocking. And so that it doesn't fall off. Alrighty, who would like to be first? I saw your hand first, but she's been waiting longer.
That's all right. Ladies, people, what's the password?
On the board. Yes.
Okay, I have on my mail. It says this version of Safari is no longer supported. Please upgrade to a supported browser. I click on it where it says to do it, and I don't.
You can't.
Right. Why?
Because your operating system. So the question is, sounds like you're using Google Mail. Google Mail is annoying people by telling them their browser is too old to do some of the more fancy features. The problem is you can't upgrade Safari without upgrading the entire operating system.
Wow.
Yes. So there's two issues. If you take your cursor and go to the Apple menu, can we see the Apple menu? Why can't we see the Apple menu? Where's the remote?
Did they have on the error message that you got, did it have like a red?
It's a line right across the top.
Yeah, it's Google's doing that.
It's got the red frowny face and so on.
Mine doesn't have
You wanna go to the Apple menu and choose About This Mac,
correct. Okay.
and that will tell you there we are, what system version you're running.
It's
And
2.6.8.
that's your problem. You missed 10.7, 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, and 10.11 is coming out at the end of this month. So you haven't kept up to date, and that's why your browser's old. So you have two choices. You can upgrade your operating system to 10.9 or 10.10, or you can use a different browser.
Yeah, I can use.
You can use Firefox from Mozilla, or you can use Google Chrome,
I just got so used to
or you can just ignore the message and just keep using Safari. Some of the more advanced chat and video calling features won't work, but most people don't do that anyway. They just use mail.
There's nothing you can do then unless you opt out.
You have to upgrade your.
How does that usually run? Do you know?
Well, it's free, but how much memory does it say your computer has?
I have no idea how to find. Oh, there it is. 2 GB, 60.
You need 8.
I need 8.
So that's a couple $100. So you,
I better off getting a new.
right, that sort of becomes get a new computer or use a different browser. The other option is you don't have to use the web browser at all. You can use the mail program. There's a dedicated mail program in the Mac, looks like a little postage stamp, and that's called the Mail Reader, and that's how you can read your mail. You don't have to go to Google's website to do it. One of the advantages of the mail program is that you can pick up mail from different services. Say you have a Google account and a Yahoo account and a Roadrunner account. You can get all your mail in one reader. So probably the best thing for you is just ignore the message and keep using Safari or switch to Firefox.
The other question I have is, how do I know if my security, what's the name of my security? My daughter keeps saying
Macintosh. The fact that it is a Macintosh is your security.
on my Mac.
Yes. Virtually every exploit.
So I go to applications to find out what it is?
No. There is nothing to upgrade. The fact that it is a Macintosh is the security.
You don't have to upgrade the security.
There is nothing to upgrade.
Software or anything?
No.
Oh, that's what she asked.
You'd have to upgrade your entire operating system.
Topped out is Snow Leopard on that machine.
What model is it? Oh, it's silver. It'll do at least Lion, if not Mountain
He
Lion.
did all this, and that was 2 years ago when he passed, so I have no idea.
Let's see. It's not a unibody, so it's probably a 2008, 2009.
I would assume it was
If we find out what model it is, we can see what the maximum OS is. Hi, have a seat. Well, sign in.
okay, well,
Welcome.
that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's one of the dangers of an older computer is the software gets too old, and then it's either becomes too expensive to upgrade.
Can you download your stuff that you've got on here, like pictures and things like that, if I got a tablet or something like that?
It'd be tricky if you got a tablet, because your computer doesn't support iCloud.
So I'm better off getting a laptop.
Right, yeah, it can be done. You can move your pictures and your documents into, say, an iPad. It's just a little trickier, and it may require you to upgrade your OS anyway. So it's kind of a catch-22 that over time, the newer stuff requires even newer stuff on your computer.
Okay, well, thank you for your help.
Sure. Yeah, we actually had a meeting at CIDR a couple months ago about don't let yourself get too far behind. Because say you buy a new iPhone or you buy a new iPad, now your computer's too old and you have to upgrade your computer to use it. Or just ignore the computer and use the iPad by itself as your computer. Web and photos and mail, it does pretty much everything that you'd want a computer for, except get your old files back off the old computer. Alrighty, next.
I can't read JPEG files, pictures that I could before I updated to Mavericks, and apparently it's a common problem.
So you can't read JPEG files? What happens when you try?
It says that
JPEG is a universal common standard for picture files.
it's JPEG.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, could not be opened, it may be damaged, or use a file format that Preview doesn't recognize.
How about have a quick look? Does it work?
I don't know. It's these two. And not to be,
25K.
not,
I would say that's a broken download. It didn't download completely, so there's nothing there to open.
I was able to read it before the upgrade, regularly. And it's important to me because it's pictures of my mother's funeral. I hate to be morbid, but that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually that's the second most common picture. It's baby pictures of the kid that have now grown up, and then funeral pictures of people that have passed are the most common pictures that people like. All right, let's see. Mavericks can't open. Did you by any chance change the file name?
No.
Try changing it to JPG instead of JPEG.
It says JPG. The picture says JPEG. And I didn't do that. The system did that. When I've had this picture for 2 years, 2.5 years. And as you know, in May or June is when I upgraded to Mavericks. And I hadn't looked at it, but recently I
Mm-hmm.
saw it, tried to open it, and here I am.
So you can't open a certain specific file,
Actually,
which is in, yeah.
one.
We don't have another program to open it with. And Preview opens okay by itself, right?
So Preview is the program that opens picture files, PDF files, and that's supposed to work with pretty much everything. I am seeing questions in Apple's forums about this problem. So let's give away my trick. Google the problem, and you'll find other people having the problem, and quite often somebody will have a fix as well. And occasionally you have to go through a bunch of different forms until you find the right problem. So this is a slightly different problem because the preview app is damaged. There are other graphic viewers. Try downloading Graphic Converter, which will view graphic images and also let you edit them, just to see if another program can open it. But there are, where I am seeing several people reporting problems with preview after the Mavericks upgrade. Do a check for updates and make sure you got all the next generation
I'm not
updates.
getting any messages that I have a need for updates.
Well, do a manual check. If you go to the Apple It was an odd name, so I keep remembering it. We'll have to dig in a little more
We can
on that. Yeah.
table that.
All right. Shall we try another question? Yes.
I watched some videos, I see all the pictures, but I don't get any sound. Like YouTube,
Mm-hmm. So the question is that YouTube audio isn't playing. Do you get audio from other applications? Okay. There's a couple of things. Well, a couple of things to try. Make sure I got to get to a program with fewer menus. Make sure your volume is turned up, of course. You get a volume bar in the, no, that's Wi-Fi. I got too many menus to show my volume here. So on the keyboard, there's also a volume control to make sure that your volume is turned on. There's also inside of YouTube, when you go into YouTube, there's a little volume button in the video itself. And that also can be turned on or off. So you may be getting audio in other programs, but not YouTube, because YouTube is muted, not your computer is muted. And then the other place is in the Apple menu, in System Preferences. There's a sound preference as it comes up. And you have to tell it which output device you want the sound to go to. So we go to System Preferences and then Sound. So my output device, I only have a headphone jack on this computer. If I unplug the headphones, it will say internal speakers. And then Sound. And then Output. Yeah, and what does the output say? But what device does it have for your sound output? Right in the center of the window. Select a device. So the volume was muted. So the system volume was muted. So the annoying thing is there's all these different places to set your volume. There's the system volume, the application volume, the video volume. Yep. Oh, I have my volume menu turned off. That's why I couldn't see it. Because I have so many menus in my menu bar. Yeah, and even when it's muted, you get no. So way up to the very top, little speaker icon. When it's muted, there's no audio bars. And then when you unmute it, you get a different audio bars depending on how loud your sound is. So that's usually the problem we see is that they've muted YouTube. The system is not muted, but YouTube is muted. Oh, and it's one of, especially on YouTube, the menus go away. So at the bottom of the video, the menus go away until you move your cursor in there, and then you can turn the volume back on.
Just pops out.
It's like he's doing a water rocket. You'll find some crazy things on YouTube. There it goes. He's going to build the pressure until it flies away. Little safer than using gunpowder. I fly model rockets with my son, and the small Estes motors that you probably used to are black powder. We've started flying bigger rockets that are using aluminum perchlorate, which is real rocket fuel. That's what the shuttle uses. That's what most spaceships use to launch. But ours are long, 2 or 3 inches long. Yep. A few years ago, the ATF did try to get involved. Let me flicker. And a judge ruled that they are not explosives. They are motors. But if you do them wrong, they explode. I want to get to how do I see my own stuff? There we are. We got a few pictures. So the flying field, I don't care about that. The flying field is down in Geneseo at the National Warplane Museum. And we use their field to launch the rockets. And so the irony is we've got these warbirds from World War II, 60, 70-year-old warbirds, and we're launching rockets in front of them. And we always have to keep watch for airplanes landing. So we don't want to send a rocket up while there's an airplane coming in. There's some of the launches. Some kids drag race 2 different rockets. We just have to watch for them coming, the airplanes coming in. It's an unregulated grass strip, so what they usually do is fly overhead to make sure there's nobody else down there, and then they fly in themselves. Sometimes just to scare the animals off the runway. Some of the guys have some really big rockets, some really small. There was one at the top here. I took a vertical video here. This one's about 30 feet tall. If you turn the projector on the side, does it rotate? No, there's to launch them and hope they come back. Well, they'll come back, but you hope you can find them again. Some of the bigger rockets will have GPS trackers in them, so you can find them when they float away. So there's a guy in yellow there standing near the rocket.
Why doesn't he fall down?
Yeah, he's far enough away.
Well, he's standing sideways.
Generally, no, you don't control the trajectory. It just goes up. But there are a couple of people that do have, in essence, a remote control plane that has control surfaces on it. So it launches like a rocket and then it comes back like a plane. Yeah, you can control the fins so it spirals on the way up. It's usually there it goes. It's usually the wind. So they'll go pretty much straight up, but then when the parachutes deploy, depending on how windy it is, they can float away. Yeah. Yeah, this is right near SUNY Geneseo. So every now and then, somebody launches a rocket that lands at the school. And they're hard to keep track of when they're up in the sky.
But that does not hold the virus.
If the grass is too dry, then there's a limit on the type of motors you can use because you don't want to have a grass fire. Yeah, most of the bigger ones have GPSs or a straight radio beacon. Sure. Mm-hmm. So the question is it okay to store your files on a thumb drive? Generally speaking, thumb drives are meant for transport. You copy it to the thumb drive, take it somewhere else so you can use it there. The way thumb drives work, every time you write data to it, it wears out a little more. So there's a danger of wearing it out too much. So you don't want to use it as your primary storage. And it's not even that good for backup storage because they're generally too small. CDs are a little more permanent, but they're also very small in capacity comparison-wise. And a lot of computers these days don't have a CD drive in them anymore. Yeah, and CDs are a write-only medium. You write to it, and then you can't write to it again, generally. So some of them are erasable, so you can erase it and write different stuff to it. But in general, for backup or even extra storage, an external hard drive is usually recommended because the capacities, a terabyte hard drive is like $100, and a CD is 0.7 gigabytes, so it's 0.007 terabytes. So CDs it would take thousands of CDs to make one hard drive. Well, generally, external drives will connect over USB. That's the most common interface. Some of the professional drives will use Thunderbolt because it's faster. If you're commercial video, you'll probably use Thunderbolt. And there's a program built into the Mac called Time Machine that you can get to in your system preferences. And Time Machine will automatically back up all your files onto that second hard drive. So you have a second copy of all your stuff. So if the main file on your hard drive, if it gets deleted accidentally or gets corrupted or you make a big change you didn't realize you wanted to make after all, you can go to your second copy on your backup drive and get it back. Yeah, the files you produce, you generally want to have a second copy somewhere, and there's something called the 3-2-1 backup strategy, where you have 3 copies of your data. So the one on your main drive, the one on your backup drive, and one of them should be off-site somewhere. So either a cloud backup service like Carbonite or CrashPlan, or some people just use multiple hard drives and they'll take a hard drive to work or put it out in the barn, because the danger of having your computer and your backup drive sitting next to each other, if there's a fire or flood or theft, you could lose both your main drive and your backup drive. So it's good to have an off-site backup of some sort, so your most important files are stored outside your house somewhere. Generally speaking, the software does that for you. With Time Machine, automatically runs about every hour, so it keeps your backup up to date. If you use something like Carbonite or CrashPlan, or even Dropbox or Google Drive, if you don't have very much data, then it automatically synchronizes for you itself. iCloud. Well, it's sort of in flux. The iCloud itself, before System 10.10, could only store Apple iWork documents, Pages, Keynote, Numbers, Text Edit. So it was of limited usefulness. Now the iCloud drive is an actual drive that's stored in the cloud, and you can put stuff on there, and it synchronizes to your other devices. the big problem with iCloud is you only get 5 gigabytes free. They did just lower their price, so 50 gigs is $1 a month. But Google Drive gives you 15 gigs for free, and works just as easy as iCloud Drive, just another icon on your desktop. There are a lot of free services like that. Dropbox is popular. Dropbox only gives you 2 gigs for free, but you can earn more by referring other people. And then all the services, you can buy more storage if you need to. But I sort of tend to stick to the free stuff and the most free stuff. In fact, Microsoft has had a deal. Right now, Microsoft will give you 7 gigs with their Live Drive. But if you signed up long enough ago with your Xbox account, I've got 25 gigs at Microsoft that I don't use because it's Microsoft. But we had to use it for the Xbox. But yeah, in fact, I use several of them. I got Dropbox, Google Drive, and Dropbox, and iCloud Drive. So some of it I use for different purposes. So the Google Drive we use for sharing the large CIDR files, the audio, especially the audio and video, because they're bigger, and Google's 15 gigs is nice to store. And then Flickr, a lot of people will upload their pictures. This is my Flickr site. Flickr gives you 1 terabyte for free of pictures, and Google gives you unlimited space for pictures as long as they're below 5 megapixels, I think. And so Google Photos is sort of the newest photo sharing site. And so over the years, I've got pictures on Flickr and Google and SmugMug and .mac. When it was first out, you could do picture hosting as well. Yeah. So which service is my photo on? Which shoebox is it in? What closet did I leave it in? I collect a lot of these space pictures. There's a French guy, I can never remember his name. So this is a picture of the moon. A little hard to see, but there's a jet flying in front of the moon, and Jupiter down there in the bottom. And if we zoom, I think, is this the super high res version? Yeah, if we zoom in, there are a couple moons of Jupiter. And so this conjunction only lasted like half a second. And this guy's able to time it and capture it. There's a website called Heavens Above that will tell you when different satellites will be over your location. And so this guy is just amazing making these photographs. And so I like collecting a lot of these. And then what was the next one was good? This was a magnetic flare on the sun, and that's Earth to scale. So the flare is 10 times bigger than Earth. And when one of those flares comes toward us, it's called a coronal mass ejection. It can screw up satellite communications, TV, radio, because it's just so energetic and so powerful. So there's well, we have a couple of satellites. There's the Solar Observatory satellites. They're on opposite orbits, so they give us a little bit of warning because the coronal mass ejection travels slower than the speed of light. So we can often get a couple hours warning, but there's very little you can do about it. It's bigger than Earth, so it's hard to block. But they do keep an eye on it. So the shuttle astronauts and the ISS astronauts, they will literally batten down the hatches. They close the windows of the cupola, and they go into a more shielded area of the space station when they know one of these flares is coming.
The number of days is, I just read fairly recently, and I don't remember the number, but it was astounding the number of close calls the astronauts have had, objects coming by them or coming near them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
if I was up there, I wouldn't want to know what that number is.
The other issue is just all the junk in space. There's 20,000 known satellites and hundreds of thousands. In fact, I saw a map the other day with zillions of dots all around the Earth of debris, tools that have been dropped, spent rocket casings, some boosters that don't come down. And flecks of paint traveling at 17,000 miles an hour, they'll still mess you up. The higher the orbit, the faster they go. Yeah, you're all traveling. So that was one of the major problems with Gravity, the movie. They were in different orbits, so it wouldn't have hit them, and they wouldn't have been surprised 90 minutes later when it hit them again, because the 200 miles up is the average orbital altitude for the space station. And that's a 90-minute orbit. It's strange to think they're only 200 miles up. That's about to Albany, isn't it? But when you go up, it's a lot different than going sideways. Yeah, the orbital mechanics and orbital velocity is based on the gravity of the object. So the farther up you go, the faster you're moving, but the longer it takes to go around. In fact, it was Isaac Newton that had this first thought experiment. You take a cannon and you shoot the cannonball and it flies out and then hits the ground. Well, what if you put more power in it? Well, it flies farther before it hits the ground. What if you put so much power into it that it flies and the ground isn't there anymore because the Earth is curved away? That's an orbit. And so that's sort of even then the beginnings of rocketry, that we didn't have a cannon powerful enough, but we had rockets that could then go up. And so when you're in orbit, they often talk about that you're falling. You're falling toward the Earth, but the Earth is curving away from you faster than you're falling. So you just keep looping around and around. And once you get up to, 22,000 miles, it takes you 24 hours to orbit the Earth. So they call that a geosynchronous orbit. So there's a lot of weather satellites, communication satellites that are in that 22,000 mile band, because then they're always pointing at the exact same spot on the Earth. And that's a very crowded orbit because so many things want to be in that orbit. Yeah, space is just really, really big. Yes, another question. Sure.
I don't like the new icon for Google on my iPhone iPad. So ugly that I have it on my second homepage.
Yeah, it's no.
Okay, thank you.
Can you change the icon of an app? No. On the computer, you can, but not on the iDevice. Yeah, Google went this whole new thing where they changed their logo. They had a cute little doodle where a hand erased the old logo and then drew in the new logo. But it's just ugly. It's plain. It's nothing.
No, I didn't even need that. The icon, it is a black background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and they changed their website. They changed all of their apps to have the new logo. Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
time machine.
Mm-hmm.
After 15 years, I finally packed things. I started back up on a flash drive,
Mm-hmm.
which was going fine. Got a hard drive, 2 terabytes, which I don't need. But it automatically just shut down the time machine before I had put the hard drive got started. And so now I've got it on my drive, and it's only backing up from June when I first started.
Yeah.
I did it. I didn't really want it to. If I need it, can I just shut the old flash drive back?
So the basic question is, he's got 2 backup drives, one that ran for a couple of years, and then got a new one. And when you get a new backup drive, it starts a new backup from that point, unless you copy everything from the old drive to the new drive. But that's a pain, and no one ever does it. So if you
ever needed it, I might do
if you ever need something from that older backup. So one of the things that Time Machine does is it keeps all of the old files. So today it backs up and I get yesterday's files and the day before's files. So in my computer, my oldest backup is September 13th, 2014. So I can go back a year and find my files as they were a year ago. So having a 2 terabyte backup drive is great because you'll be able to go back that much farther. So when your hard drive gets full, the oldest backups are deleted. So we often say when your hard drive is full, get a new hard drive, and then you still have that old historical archive. And then if you ever need something from that old drive, you can just plug that old drive in again, and it will show up on the desktop, and you can look through it and find that file you want.
Yeah, because for the first time in 25 years, I need a file. I erased it.
Yeah, accidentally erased the file, yeah.
And I have never used Time Machine to restore something. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
But Steve, doesn't it, it's not backing up everything every time, it's just backing up changes?
Right.
Where does it keep the, like, original it's working?
In another folder. So the question is, the way Time Machine works, your first backup, it does everything. And then each successive backup, it only does the changed files. But it uses some magic called hard links. So if you ever look at your backup drive, it looks like every backup is the full backup. So on the backup drive, each backup is sorted by date. So you can go to a date and look at your hard drive at that date. It looks like it's every file. It's not, and it confuses search programs because it finds every file too many times. But it only stores the file once. So say you've got 10 gigs used on your hard drive. It'll be 10 gigs on the backup drive. And then you change a gig's worth of stuff. And it's 11 gigs on the backup drive. It only saves the changed files. So it may take a very long time to fill your backup drive. If you typically only use like word processing files, they're very tiny. They'll take forever to fill a hard drive. But if you do a lot of video editing, then that can fill the hard drive faster because videos are typically bigger. And you had a the Time Machine program does that for you. You need a physical hard drive to back up onto. So another little box that plugs into your computer. In the Time Machine preferences, you say select a disk, and you pick that external disk that you're going to back everything up onto. And then it handles everything from then on. Right. You click select disk and tell it to back up to that drive. And then it does.
Physically connected with a wire.
Or
Connected
a
with
wireless hard drive, but that's
use that to back up.
if you want to take a picture of the screen to save for later. That has nothing to do with Time Machine. That's just you take a picture of the screen. Right. Command Shift 3 will take a picture of the entire screen. And if I turn my volume up here, well, I'll get to that next. Command Shift 3 is easier to remember than all the other subtlety. So Command Shift 3 takes a picture of the screen and you hear a camera shutter. And then if I hide everything here and get back to my desktop, this is actually an Easter egg we play on people. So here's a file called Screenshot. And if I open that up, that's what my screen looked like. So Command Shift 3 takes the entire screen. Command Shift 4 will let you take a picture of a piece of the screen. So say I only want the Google logo. So if I hit Command Shift 4, I now have a little cursor and I can select just the bit of the screen I want instead of the entire screen. And now that second screenshot is just that little piece. So Command Shift 3 takes a picture of the whole screen, and Command Shift 4, we call it, it takes a picture of a region that you select. And then little bit trickier, Command-Shift-4, and then hit the space bar, and it will take a picture of an entire window. So your cursor turns into a little camera. So now I get this whole window, but I don't get the menu bar, I don't get the other windows. It's just that one window.
This is probably one of the oldest apps or whatever on the computer.
Command-Shift-3 used to print the screen to the image drive. So it's been in there since the original Macintosh in 1984. It would print the screen to the image writer.
Can I ask a
Mhm.
question? Somehow, some creature out there has managed to get into both my computer, my iMac, and also into my iPad. And it basically has been locking me out. Now, it turns out I figured out how to solve the problem on the iPad, so we won't talk about that. But let me just ask you a comment. On both cases, I end up getting a message on my screen, lock.
Mm-hmm.
And the one on the iPad says, warning, exclamation point.
Yep.
OS needs optimization.
Actually, I think I have.
Third-party application in
Mhm.
your phone. OS needs to be re-optimized and so on.
Yep.
Contact telephone number one.
Yeah, they're all fake. They're all fake.
I know.
Yep.
I'm well aware of that. But
It's kind of funny.
Anyway, so I saw that one. That's the iPad
Mhm.
one. But now I've got the problem, similar problem, but it's a different message and different.
Yeah.
But it's more of a problem with either Firefox, Foxfire, whichever.
Yeah,
Whichever,
it's
which is this.
you went
Anyway,
yeah, you went to a website that had an infected ad, and now it's showing you this fake ad trying to steal your money.
Yeah.
Usually what you do is quit the browsers and clear the cache. The problem has been exacerbated because Apple introduced a feature that when you open an application, it reopens all the windows that were open before. So say you've got this fake ad locking you out of Safari, so you quit Safari, and then when you relaunch Safari, the Safari conveniently reloads those windows again. So you want to go into your system preferences, and under General, turn off the feature to resume your windows. On older operating systems, it will say resume Windows when relaunching an app, and you want to turn that off. And on newer operating systems, it says close Windows when quitting an app. You want to turn that on. So then Safari won't remember that window, and it won't reopen it again.
that's basically what I did with the iPad. I went back to
Yeah, in the iPad settings, there's a clear history, and it forgets that web page you had open.
Wiped out all that stuff.
Yep. So what's happened is some bad guy realized that he could buy an ad on a website. So you go to Walmart, and there's an ad for diapers, there's an ad for tires, and there's an ad that says you're infected with a virus. The very, very annoying thing is you don't have to click on anything to get these ads. Just opening the website is enough to get the ad.
Yeah, I didn't do a thing.
Yep.
All of a sudden, there it was.
And some of the worst ads will install software in your computer to give you more ads. In general, we call these malvertisers, malicious advertisers. And there's a couple of ways to realize that they're fake. First is don't trust any message you see, which is becoming bad. But what happens a lot is the grammar is awkward because most of the people writing these malicious programs are not native English speakers.
That's true in the ones that I had.
Yeah, and there'll be an overemphasis. So in this box, every single word is capitalized. So they're overemphasizing the warning. And then if you're not running an antivirus program and you get a message about a virus, it's fake. Or if you do get a message about a virus and it didn't come from the program you are running, it's fake. But it's because the bad guys are doing this, it's getting harder and harder for average people to know what to do. And there are a couple of really, really malicious virus warnings for Windows that will encrypt the data, so you cannot open your own files again, and encrypts it with a password they made, and they hold your data for ransom, and you have to pay them $300, $500.
That's what I figured this telephone call was.
Yeah. Fortunately, there aren't any of those for the Mac. The big one is called CryptoLocker for Windows. So you could get a message saying your data is being encrypted, but it's lying because it doesn't run on the Mac. But getting these fake messages is getting to be more and more and more common. And it's very frustrating for average users who get tricked into doing this. In fact, a lot of times when you call the phone number, they will ask to remotely control your computer to fix the problem. Great, you'll fix it for me. And then they rummage around your computer and they find your bank accounts, they find your passwords, and if you're lucky, they just steal the $300 for their service, and they don't start stealing more of your money. So it's the bad guys are making things, you know, very hard for average folks, and the good guys have a hard time keeping up. So, you know, one of these malicious ads might go on the Facebook homepage, and they'll probably catch it in half an hour. But in that half an hour, you know, 100 million people might have seen it. And we used to talk about the percentage of people that get tricked by it, and direct postal mail, regular junk mail posting, 1% response is considered good. So you send out 100 letters, you get one back, great. So that's why the postal mailers, they'll send out tens of thousands of messages. They'll go back a couple of dozen, and they've made the money. With computer messages like this, these fake messages, all they need is one response, not even 1%, just one response, and it was worth their time. And it's very frustrating. We actually think some of these are real tech support people, either former or current, on their own. So during the day, they're answering questions really for Microsoft, and then during the night, they're stealing people's money, saying they're from Microsoft. Because they know the jargon, they know the talk, they know how to scare people. They'll have you open a window that they claim. So here, every one of those lines means someone is hacking you. Oh my God, what is it? So because people don't need to know the inner workings of their computer. So don't trust any message you see.
People here might like to know what happened to me today. Because this never happened before. I called Apple at the store, and I wanted to sign up for the Genius.
Yep.
Yes, get an appointment with Genius. Yes. And the next thing you know, after some various things going on, I was hooked up to Apple, their Apple resource. And after I talked with this gal about it, she commented that, oh, your computer is so many years old, so you're beyond the service date. But we'll make a special case, and we're going to
They always make a special case and then try to sell you a new machine.
we're going to take care of you. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's never happened to me that calling the local store to get on somehow somebody down there switched me over to Apple.
They probably sent you to the National Help Desk. Yeah. One of the problems we see is when you're searching for somebody's phone number, search for Apple Help or Microsoft Help or iPad Help, something like that. You don't necessarily notice the ads that come up. So I just Googled Apple Help, and the first thing that came up is an ad, but it says Apple Help. Okay. Google is probably the best one at marking ads. So this is an ad, it's not really Apple. Bing tends to be one of the worst search engines in that case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads before you get to the real Apple. And if you're on a small screen, you may not even see the real Apple down there at the bottom. So it's be very careful when you're Googling for a phone number that you get the actual company and not an ad for someone claiming to support them. It's very frustrating that the bad guys are ruining everything for us. Yeah.
Do you know anything about Malwarebytes? I was
Mhm.
told that that when you use Google, it puts up colored discs, red, yellow, and green, which indicates whether it's good or bad, or malware or not malware.
Not exactly. So the question is about Malwarebytes and Google searches. Google does keep track of an internal list of known bad websites. So if one of your searches happens to turn up a known malicious website, you may get a message from Google saying, this website has known to contain malicious software. Do you really want to go there? Malwarebytes is a program, was a company. They have been very popular in the Windows world for free anti-malware software. They recently came out with a Mac anti-malware program. And so like we were talking earlier, some of the bad ads will download additional software to give you more ads. Malwarebytes anti-malware for Mac, quite a mouthful, is a program that will scan your computer and look for this malware. Sometimes the malware sneaks in other installers. I was updating the Views BitTorrent client last night, and I had to uncheck like 6 or 7 dialog boxes that said, you want to get this program, free trial for this program, free trial for this program, and no, decline. And so when you install software, be sure you read every screen, because sometimes this other software comes along for the ride. So because they got paid. So there's 6 other programs paid Views to be included in their installer. And so companies are always looking for revenue. So, okay, sure. Most people just say, okay. And then suddenly you've got these 6 other programs that you didn't know, you didn't necessarily want, and they're running in your computer doing who knows what. Yeah. Right. And so when you see that long list of stuff you have to agree to, it's frustrating and annoying to have to read through it. Usually you want to look for other checkboxes, offering you a free trial of this or a free download of that. That type of long list, usually, we call that the end user license agreement, the EULA. That's usually okay to click agree on. And it will usually say, we'll say license agreement in that window to tell you what it's doing. But when you're running an installer, in fact, I could even simulate it here if I reinstall Views. Maybe I deleted the installer already. Reading through the boxes, especially if you see another checkbox that's on. See, with that license agreement, the checkbox is off. You have to click it on. If there's a checkbox already on, be very wary of it, because it's going to install something into your computer that you may not necessarily want. I think we have Malwarebytes already downloaded. So how do you know it's a good program and a bad program? Ask somebody.
That's why I asked.
That's why here. That's why we have the CIDR meetings. Why we have the. Malwarebytes for Mac. Google that and you find it. In fact, that's what a Malwarebytes Mac, and that was the first link. If you are seeing an inordinate number of ads, or more ads than usual, or your computer is acting weird, it's not a bad idea to download it and run it. It may find something that got installed in your computer that's trying to do something. One of the most common adware programs is called Genio, and they actually have a website where they claim to be now they're down. They claim to be a newspaper-style homepage. So normally when you open a web page, you might go to Google or Yahoo or CNN, and there's news on that page. So this Genio company bills itself as a newspaper-style homepage to show you news on your homepage. What people don't realize is that the point of a newspaper is to sell ads. The news doesn't matter; it's all the ads that matter. So they are giving you a newspaper homepage by filling you with more and more ads. So we've got Malware Bytes downloaded. Now we'll go to so this is a process. When you download a program, you go to your downloads folder and you get the installer. So there's several steps. You download it and then you install it and then you run it. It used to be that when you downloaded something, it installed itself till the bad guys figured out how to do that and would download bad things. So I'm actually going to move that. So this is telling you to drag the program to your applications folder. So that's how you install this program. Some programs use a double click to install, and it usually tells you that in the window. It's a little frustrating. There's 2 ways to install a program on the Mac. So you can't just say always do this or always do that.
So after you've installed it, what do you do with the listing that's in the download folder?
So what do you do after you download stuff? Some people delete the downloads as soon as they're finished with them. I don't. I have 239 downloads. There's sort of 2 schools of thought. If you need to reinstall it, it's already in your downloads folder. But if you need to reinstall it, you're better off downloading the new version. So in general, you don't need to keep any of your downloads. They take up disk space, and depending on the size of your disk, that may be a problem. So you can delete the stuff in your downloads folder after you've installed them and not need them again.
See, I saved mine because I found the uninstaller. So.
Yes, sometimes the uninstall is in that download. And a lot of times people will keep it because of that. Joel.
Original question about ratings for websites and search.
Mm-hmm.
There's an add-in called Web Trust. It's mywebut.com, which will do what you asked. A couple of those red, green, and orange, those stickers next to each search item based on the site's reputation.
Yeah, so there's a My Web of Trust. It's an add-in for your browser that will track the ratings that people have given to websites. So whether that website is trustworthy or untrustworthy, or they don't know. Every now and then there's a problem with that. Somebody will get a bug up their butt about a website and get all their friends to mark it as untrustworthy. But they're usually pretty good about stopping stuff like that.
Good test for that is to search for something free game.
Yeah, search for like a free game, and you'll find a whole bunch of crap, and a couple of good sites. So it's really interesting. So let's run Malware Bytes and see if I have any. I probably don't, but you never know. Again, these are things that can install themselves. You don't have to click on anything. Just displaying the ad on the website will install the program. One of the best ways to minimize issues like that is to not be the administrator. And it's a little bit tricky. When you first turn your Mac on, you create a username and password the very first time you turn it on. And that's called the administrator user. And the administrator can do things like install software. There are other users called standard users where they can run everything on the computer, but they can't install anything. And so the bad software can't install. And when you want to install good software, you can put in your administrator password. Unfortunately, both Apple and Microsoft create this administrator account by default, and we wish they would not and create a standard user for you. There is a way to switch from administrator to standard, but it's a little tricky and sort of beyond the scope of this. But if you're very concerned about the malicious software getting in, we can talk about it offline.
You're saying that you could have a machine with no administrator?
No, you need an administrator. So the short answer is you make a new administrator. So if we go to system preferences and users, yep. You make a new administrator, and then you log into that administrator and make your regular account standard. So then all of your stuff is still there as a standard user, and you have an administrator account when you need it. You can also make limited accounts for kids. If you have kids that use your computer, there are parental control features. So you can limit how much time they can spend on the computer, what websites they can go to, who they can email. So that's also part of the system under parental controls. And that becomes the other user. So you've got your username that you do all your stuff in. You have another user for somebody else to do their stuff in.
Those children control that just you can restrict specific sites.
You put a whitelist in of what sites they're allowed to go to.
Right, but you have to list all the sites they want.
Yeah, you list all the sites they're allowed to go to. If they try to go to a different site, you have to put
The ones they're allowed to go to are the ones they're not allowed.
the ones they are allowed to go to. It's a whitelist. So when they want to go to a different site, you have to put your password in to allow that site. I used it a lot for time limits. So, 9 o'clock, computer shuts off and you have to go to bed now. So, but my son was always, Dad, I'm in the middle of a game. I need 5 more minutes.
They used to restrict specific sites they could not go to.
Yeah.
And then they were using English Channel and all these others to, work around.
Yeah, it's amazing what people will do to work around the restrictions you try to put in place.
We always had to work around.
Yep. Sure.
I don't know if this file is relevant or working in the computer or not. How do I know which file?
If you didn't create it, don't touch it. Basically. So anything in your documents folder is okay, but anything else, anything that says system or library, what's that? Oh, my antivirus is wants to run a scan. No, not right now. I'm in the middle of something. So applications or system, the only thing you should do is stuff in your own documents folder, your own pictures folder. There are programs that claim to clean your computer of cruft. Matt Keeper is probably one of the more notorious ones. They have a horrible reputation for over-advertising, over-hyping, and charging you money for things that are free. So if you ever see an ad for Matt Keeper, ignore it. Don't download it. Don't install it. Their biggest thing is they say free download, free download, free download. Every download is free. To use the program, you got to pay for it. And that was the other one that they did. One payment for life. So you pay once, it implies you pay once and that's the end of it. You never have to pay again. But then they come up with a new version. So then you have to pay for the new version because it was the life of the old version, not your life, it's their life. So they have a horrible reputation on the internet. Not quite as bad as Clean My Mac, but it's sort of the same thing. It gives you a list of files and asks if you want to delete them. You still have to know if you want to delete them or not. And if you knew that, you wouldn't need the program to begin with. Yeah. You have programs built into the computer to do cleaning already. In your utilities folder is the disk utility. And it has its own cleaning routines built in that run automatically during the night. So if you leave your computer on at night, they can run. Or when the computer wakes up again, they can run. You can manually open disk utility from your utilities folder and manually run the cleaning scans if your computer's having issues. So if something's acting up, something's running weird, you can run the repair disk permissions and verify your disks. So these commands are free, built into the computer. You already have them. You don't need to buy another program to do it. Right, those are different programs. So the Malwarebytes is probably the best anti-malware program at the moment. You generally don't need an antivirus program because there are no Mac viruses yet. And after this long, we kind of don't expect any. But viruses in general are declining because of malware is getting more common. So the fake ads to trick you out of your money is much more common than having a virus. I do run an antivirus program called Sophos, which is a good free antivirus. There's also one called Avast, which is nice. They have a lady says your virus definitions have been updated and scares you when it happens in the middle of the night. But Sophos is a good antivirus. It will find Windows viruses that pass through your computer, typically from email. So every couple of days or so, I'll get a warning from Sophos that a virus came in from email. It's a Windows virus that can't do anything to my Mac, but if I would pass that message on to a Windows user, they could be infected by it. So if a lot of people, if they share files with Windows users, will run an antivirus just so they keep their own machine clean of Windows viruses and not risk infecting somebody else. Probably sophos.com. Malwarebytes for Mac. So I've got a few of them in my. You go to their website, you download the installer, and then you run the installer to install the program.
Could be overriding messages. You don't need it.
You don't need an antivirus on the Mac.
You don't need it. You're wondering how to install and all that stuff, but probably you don't.
Yeah, uninstall MacKeeper, and then a box will pop up. Are you really sure? Why are you uninstalling?
That's the main message. You don't
Yeah,
need it.
main message is
Secondary message is if you want it, you can get it, but you don't need it.
yeah. You can be a good net citizen and make sure you don't pass on viruses. Yeah, all the Windows users should have their virus shields up. Yep.
You're immune.
Yep. A lot of the viruses try to trick people into opening files. Here's one came in from an email. It's a refund form. Oh, I need a refund. Or here's a fax you need to open, or an invoice you have to look at. So the bad guys are creating these documents that contain the Windows viruses and then mass emailing them. And if they catch a couple of people, great. You can make a lot of money being a bad guy. Actually, the annoying thing now is you can make a lot of money being well, the black, white, and there's gray in the middle. There are hacking contests for legitimate security researchers will find a bug in a program, and they'll wait till the contest to win money instead of telling the company there's a bug. Was it CanSec? One guy at the Canadian Security Conference a couple months ago took home like $400,000 because he had like 4 or 5 different bugs that he found that he didn't tell the companies about. He saved them for the conference so he could win money. And so Google and Microsoft have started doing their own bug bounties. So they'll pay you if you find a bug. I don't think Apple does. But still, a lot of people wait for these conferences to make money before they tell the company they found a hole and how to do something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always say there are no viruses for the Mac yet. Someone may write one, but there's sort of different classes of hackers. There's the real smart, sophisticated people that write the stuff, and then they sell it to other less sophisticated users who then put their own name on it and put their own phone number to scam people with. And so fortunately there aren't that many really smart bad guys. It's all the other middle guys that are putting up with the viruses. In fact, one of the ironies in the industry is there's an Italian company called the Hacking Team that they claim to be a legitimate let me see what their website says now, a legitimate security company, but they were finding bugs in software and selling the bugs to bad guys. Yeah. And so the Hacking Team got hacked, and all of their bug database was released to the public. And so Microsoft and Adobe and a bunch of other companies found in that list, the people were finding exploits that were waiting to be used, but we don't know who they got sold to yet. So Microsoft, Apple had a couple of security updates. Adobe had some updates, especially to Flash. Flash gets updated so frequently, we think because the bad guys have a whole list of problems. So Adobe fixes one, they move to the next problem. And yeah, they're a white hat during the day and a black hat at night. Yeah. And no, it's, I don't know, lazy and greed. You can make a lot of money. Tell 10,000 computers to, call me and give me money instead of working all day long. Yeah. Yeah.
I've tried, as we've been speaking, I've been trying to download Graphic Converter. It originally said it was going to be 40 minutes or so, and now it's up to 2 hours and 34 minutes. Should I just shut it down and wait till I
We
go
have a
home?
very slow connection right now.
Well, should I just shut it down and continue? when I
Yeah,
get
you can
home?
pause it now,
Just hit
hit
the
the
X.
X, and then when you get home, you can.
Hit resume and see if it works.
Okay.
Do you remember which mirror you picked? One of the things with Graphic Converter we mentioned earlier, to view and edit picture files, is it's actually a German guy from Germany. So when you go to download it, generally speaking, it downloads from a US website, but it can also download from Europe. So you may be sending your packets halfway around the world.
I don't think so, but
Well, sometimes pause it, restart it now, and see if it picks up again. You may have just gotten a slow connection to the other end.
it's resuming, but it's,
See how long it takes. Yeah, there's a sort of a hidden button in Safari now. In the upper right-hand corner is your list of downloads, and it shows you all the things you've downloaded recently. And there's a little magnifying glass that will take you to that download. So if you need to find where it downloaded from. It used to be a separate window, but now they put it
now
in.
we're at 6 hours and 50 minutes
From 12,
from 40 minutes.
but what had it gone up to? 6
From 2 hours, 15 minutes, 46.
Mm-hmm.
How do you safely delete now? That's not the same thing as the other file.
No, this is just a list of files that you've downloaded. It isn't the actual file. You can remove that list item from the list, or it automatically removes the oldest ones as the newer ones get put on. But it doesn't delete the actual file. This is just a list of files. And there's a clear button in the top where you can clear the entire list at once.
So now, so really speaking, is it
Yeah, it can be worth keeping the download list, especially if you have a shared computer, you can see what other people are downloading. But sometimes that's a what do they call it? A shaming list. That, oh, you downloaded a Milli Vanilli song, you yeah. Not really. It just lists what you downloaded. You still have to decide if you want to keep it or not. Yeah, in your download window, it will show you the actual files that you can decide to download. So this is my download window of the stuff I've been downloading. Yeah, I can pick any of them and drag it to the trash. Or there's the action menu will move to trash, or Command Delete, the keyboard command to do it. Well, downloads are things that you've downloaded. If you've installed the download, then you don't need the downloader anymore. Yeah, after you've installed it, you can delete the download file.
If you delete it and then you decide you needed it, you go back and download it again.
Okay, I see what you're saying, delete it. Because I'm just wondering whether this is kind of, integrated with other files and other systems. If I do that, then other things. Since some people just
Yeah, just the download won't affect anything else. If you've already installed that program, so you don't need to download again.
I have a question. Came up with an iPad. Carol gets this error periodically from Lucky Winner, apple.com/luckywinner.com. Congratulations, your Apple device was selected because blah blah blah.
What was the full address? Let's see if it's still there.
Apple.com-luckywinner.com.
Oh yeah, it's already showing up in my Google search as a scam.
Yeah, but the thing is, when it comes on her iPad, she can't escape. The only button is the OK button.
Yeah.
There's no way. So the only way we've been able to escape it is by shutting.
You have to shut the browser down.
Well, I don't know how to shut the browser off on the iPad.
I don't have my iPad cord with me. I hit the home button, and that will. Will this work? No, I don't have that picture up there. So if you hit the home button, that will take you out of the browser, and then you go into because again, that feature earlier, when you open Safari again, it will reopen all the pages you had open as a convenience, including the bad page. So you go to Settings, and then Safari, and clear website and history. I can probably find it up here.
But restarting the iPad, it gets rid of it, but then it.
Yeah, if you just restart the iPad or restart the browser, it comes back again because the browser is trying to be convenient and reopen all your pages again. So you go to Settings and Safari and then Clear History and Website Data, and that will tell Safari to forget all the web pages it had open. So before that message came up, she went to a website that had an infected ad. And you don't have to click anything. The ad just runs when you display it in the web page. So it's very frustrating. And the way the web works, they can, if they bother, they can determine what browser you're using. So I've seen the fake messages will say Safari user, you're in trouble, because they know I'm running Safari. The lazier ones, in fact, I had a couple down here. The lazier ones won't bother with that. I think this was that one. Yeah, so there's a Windows logo next to my Safari logo. And it's, you know, a fake message. And it came, if you look, it came from applehelp.net. So the bad guys at least took out a domain name that was good sounding, applehelp.net.
I thought the other one was cute, apple.com hyphen.
Yeah, it doesn't end
It
in
looks like
.com.
apple.com, but
Yep.
it's hyphen luckywinner.com.
Yeah, so the bad guys will often do that. They'll put out they'll register a domain that looks close. Here we go. Yeah, it's you have to look at the ads to make sure they're legitimate ads. It's come down to don't ever click on an ad, even if it looks legitimate. It might be infected. You have to type that address to go to manually. So if you want to go to Kmart to look up something, type kmart.com in your browser. So I just went to a malicious website here. It's apple.com macupdate.info. That sounds good, doesn't it? But it's a fake website, and it's claiming that I'm infected with a virus, and the only thing I can do is hit OK, and it's looked at my stuff. So the way the web works, my browser tells it what computer I'm running, what web browser I'm running, what OS I'm running. So it tells the good guys can use this information to customize the website for you. So I'm not going to click the start scan, but it's a fake message on a fake website. It's probably, if I hit start scan, it's probably going to say something like you're infected. Might even show, the earlier ones would show an animation of a progress bar and a list of viruses it's finding. So I found this and this and this and this and this to scare you into taking the next step of calling them and giving them your money. And it's the bad guys are just too many of them going too fast. Usually these websites get shut down in a couple of days as soon as somebody finds them. But it's usually Google that finds them, because so many people use Google to do searching, that Google finds these malicious sites and gets them reported and shut down. But it looks legitimate. It's worded properly, and they're just all designed to trick you to steal your money. It's very, very frustrating that it's making it hard for normal folk.
Something that's related, you don't always get these through the computer. I've been getting, cold calls.
Yep.
And usually it's a foreign national,
Mm-hmm.
and they're telling me your computer. I played different games with them, like asking them which computer, asking them questions.
Yeah.
And
The cold calls were really, really big a couple years ago.
The quickest way I found now to get rid of them is they say, go to your computer. I say, which computer? I say, I got 12 computers.
Yeah.
And then that screws up their whole thing. Then they hang up on me.
Yeah.
Or I got no computer.
They don't let me use a computer here in prison.
Why is there a long gap between the phone ringing and
Yeah.
somebody?
It's a robo.
Click and then a buzz.
Yeah, we call them robocalls. There's a computer dialing every phone number in sequence. And if you pick up the phone and say hello, the computer realizes there's somebody there and then sends it to the next human operator. But that can take a few seconds.
Takes some time to do that.
Yeah.
Almost all of it is a fair distance.
Yeah.
They got recognition on there. I use the word, is this a tape? And then the voice dialogue said, I can assure you I'm a real person.
Yeah.
I said the word tape, and it triggered the response, I'm a real person.
Mm-hmm. Nick has talked about the touch tone disconnect tone, where if you call a phone number that's been disconnected, and I don't know if I'm able to find it now. So if you ever on a phone call a number that's been disconnected, you get this 3 tones, and it says the number's been disconnected. Please check and dial again. So what you can do is you can take that tone and put it on your answering machine. And the robocallers will hear that tone and remove that number from the database for a while. And then they'll you know, say 6 months, they'll try it again because that phone number may be reassigned to somebody new. But that's a little interesting. So then when people really call you, they hear that tone too. Which, and then you say, you know, you wait a second, you know, sorry for the tone, but you know, that's to stop robocallers. So let's see. Oh, I'm still muted.
Fedor is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this record,
I'm going to start over again.
we're sorry.
Yeah, so that 3 tones, the robocallers recognize and remove you from the list for a little bit. And the whole do not call registry is almost a joke. If you ask a company not to call you again, they don't. They make a new company with a new list. Yeah. So they are technically following the law. They just make a new company, and you got to tell that company not to call you again. Yep. Another question? Sure. So the question is about lessons on the computer. The first place to go is Apple's own help. Let me hide everything here. Every program has a help menu and will bring up help on that program. And so Apple has their Mac help. And they also have a getting to know your Mac if you're brand new to a Mac. If you're just now upgrading to the new Yosemite operating system, there's a what's new in Yosemite. So a good first place to start is the help built into the program. There are also books available that you can get at bookstores, even the library. And there are a couple of different series that a lot of people like. There's the Mac for Dummies. It's usually a yellow book. Then there's the Idiot's Guide series. A lot of people tend to follow authors more than titles, but you can often use books like that if you're a read learner. So there's some people are do learners, some people are read learners. And then there are tutorial websites. Lynda.com is one company that has audio and video tutorials on all sorts of different subjects. They have a free trial, and we have a discount code for Lynda.com if you want to join their service.
And of course, there's the fellow down at Cornell. Has a whole bunch
Yeah,
of-
Adam, there's a lot of websites for news and help, and
But they also have books. That you can
but they also have books that you can buy. Yeah. So Adam Angst, he was just at our meeting Wednesday night.
I highly recommend macmost.com.
Macmost.com. Yeah.
They got a couple hundred videos there on how to do everything.
This is on the
It's
computer.
free, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Adam's Take Control.
Gary, and then he walks you through stuff.
The Take Control books are inexpensive and targeted at a specific topic, so you can learn one topic about specific things.
Jeez. They could only get me to read them.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of them on my screen.
Don McAllister has what's his screensaver? No, not screensavers. Screen Gem, something like that. There's quite a few people that do video tutorials online as well. So MacMost, they have is it weekly or daily? Is it?
Accessibility, they got 252 videos on accessibility, 922 on Apple TV. And Others 905 on backing up.
Oh, there's one on removing adware.
Includes old videos that are no longer really relevant. Been doing it a long time, but the newer videos from last year or two, you know, and the video, he's walking you right through it. Plus YouTube is another way. If you have trouble with a specific program, you Google it, spreadsheets on Mac spreadsheets on YouTube, and you'll get videos on how to do it. It might be a 13-year-old kid in England with an accent you can't understand, but there's lots and lots of videos available.
For me, just taking the picture and moving it from there to the file, sending it to somebody.
Drag it over. Click, drag. Yeah, yeah. You can grab things on web pages, just clicking, you drag them off. I do it right now. I got about 30 pictures on my desktop that I dragged off of web pages. Just click on the image and drag it over. Well, right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put them in Apple Photos in a little while. Right now, they're just on my desktop.
Videos don't work that way, but photos do. You can drag a photo from a website to your desktop. Yep. It names it whatever it was named by the other end, which is sometimes hard to know.
10156
Yeah.
027 underscore 101 5206. So .jpeg. I can change it.
Yeah.
If you drag it off twice, it'll give it a slightly different name, one digit different.
I see. And then, so then if you want to set the reference that.
You can drag it right into the email.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Appreciate that. I'm so glad I came. I tell you.
Come to our regular meetings.
I'll come.
You know, our regular meetings at East High every month, and we need more people coming to
Hopefully
that.
I'll come. See, I'm a kind of a extrovert. So, but I'll come when I'm here. I'll come.
Yep.
Don't come when you're not here.
That's the thing, I'm saying this because I regret not to go to Florida and not being there.
Well, we do. Well, this is soundbite. I also do the Soundbites radio show on Saturdays at noon on Jazz 90.1 FM.
Is that available online?
Yeah, we do simulcast video streaming, and then we have the past episodes available for download as well. 90.1 FM, and soundbites.org is the website for the radio show. And down on the left, we have audio archives and we have video archives. Left, right. On the right side of the page. And then Apple Cider itself, we also do live video streaming. So if you can't make it to the meeting, you can watch live on the internet, or you can watch it after the fact. That's one of the cameras I've got running now. So we're recording right now, so you can play the meeting back, and yep, applecider.org. Applecider.org. And on the right-hand side is a live video stream and video link button. And I just noticed this afternoon that our board meeting, I forgot to change the word September. So let me change that. So I think last month I had the wrong date on the board meeting. Yeah. Yep, the meeting is the second Wednesday of the month. What is the date Wednesday? Not the 19th. We can open a calendar fastest. At 7 o'clock.
October's on the 13th.
Yeah, Wednesday the 16th. And yeah, the October meeting will be October 13th.
The second Wednesday
Wait.
of September is the 9th.
As the 9th, yeah. The board meeting is the third Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
13th, and the next Saturday meeting will be on the 17th. Here on the 17th, East High on the 13th.
There we go.
I'm starting a new group as well, to study spreadsheets and word processing, so on. Call it the iWork Study Group. And it's on the same day as this meeting, at 1 o'clock at my house in Brighton. So, anybody's welcome to come to that. I think I might change the name of that and include Green Apples in it.
Yeah.
Because we used to have the Green Apples group for new people, new users. And like a lot of times people are shy about asking really basic questions,
Mm-hmm.
That everybody else knows the
Yeah.
answer, so they don't want to
There's no dumb question.
Yeah.
There's a few dumb answers, though.
Still, there's 40 people there, you don't want to ask,
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. Have a nice day.
You don't use what? Yeah. Me too.
Yep.
What is this
Some people
graphic
need spreadsheets.
converter?
You might want a spreadsheet.
What's
to
the
keep track
purpose of
your
that graphic
retirement
converter?
income.
So graphic converter is just a graphic editor. You can view and edit graphics. Photoshop really light.
So Photoshop,
It's a-
like,
yeah. Ex- Probably
Interesting.
find some more on your problem.
No, I solved it.
Oh, yeah?
I still can't open up those two files,
Mhm.
but I
The
found
thing about computers. and
by
what we talked
accident
about before,
in
is the answer to
the
most of
cubby
your
hole
questions are
in
right
this
there
computer,
You
the-
go online and just
the
Google
pictures
whatever
I was
your question
looking
is.
Oh, good.
If you want a
But
tutorial, put
the
that in
same
your
picture
Google search. You say,
is there and in the
you know,
download file,
graphics,
and I can't open it,
tutorial,
and that's what is really
you've got a whole
mystifying.
bunch
Yeah.
of links and,
How big is the other picture, the file size of the one that you can open?
25K.
Is it? So it's a pretty small picture.
Oh, I'll check to make sure, but I believe so.
Another question?
No, 840K.
Yeah, that's what makes me think 25K is awful small for a picture. I think it may have been an incomplete download.
Okay.
So
Alright.
technically the message is correct, which is the best kind of correct.
Yes.
Technically correct.
Especially since I found what I was looking for. So
Yeah.
I don't think this software, we keep talking about software. This is such a thing as one software is superseded by another software by another company. And you have to switch to something.
So yeah, the question is basically about, software development. Generally speaking, we see major players in certain markets. So Adobe is really dominant in the creative market with Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. And there are alternatives. The graphic converter we were talking about is a really light version of Photoshop. There's another one called GIMP and Acorn and Pixelmator. There's a lot of small programs that do image editing, for free, 10 bucks, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, instead of 700 for Photoshop. And then Microsoft has sort of turned out really big in the office productivity with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. But Apple has their iWork suite. There's LibreOffice and OpenOffice and NeoOffice. There's a whole bunch of other office suites. It's just sort of these big monolithic companies have sort of the marketing clout, or they were the first to do something. And in the Creative Suite, it was always Adobe versus Quark. Quark Express was a very popular page layout program in the early days. They're pretty much unheard of these days. No, they're still trying, but the Adobe juggernaut is so huge. And what Adobe has done is they make their programs work well together. So everyone used Photoshop for image editing. And then the choice was Illustrator or Freehand for illustration, and PageMaker or Quark Express for layout. And so what Adobe started doing is bundling their programs together. So everyone used Photoshop. They just made it easier to use Illustrator and PageMaker than it was to use, you know, Freehand and Quark Express. Yeah. And it's over the years, it just sort of has worked out that way. There are alternative, in fact, there's a website called alternative2.net where you can look for alternatives to big expensive software. So you can, you know, an alternative to Photoshop. In fact, it'll probably come up with GIMP and Graphic Converter. Find an alternative to Photoshop. Yeah, GIMP, MyPate, Pixelmator. Some of them I've never heard of. Acorn I've heard of. In fact, Adobe came out with Photoshop Elements, which is a $100 program. Does almost everything the full Photoshop does at $700. The other thing Adobe's done is their subscription service now. $10 a month, you get Photoshop and Lightroom. And that sounds really cheap until you start looking out. $10 a month. And if you stop paying, it quits working. Yeah. Yep.
Some stupid reason that thing kind of knocked my mind and said, you talk about Mars on one end, but big on the other hand, and it seemed better for what you're talking.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve.
Yep, you're welcome.
Good
Have a nice
stuff
day.
today.
Any last questions? Sure. Carol, anything today? Good.
Three guys working, all four of us were fine.
All righty. I guess we can close a little early. Get us packed up in time to get out of here on time. Thank you to Joel for filling in for Erwin.
Thank you
Yep.
for all your answers.
Yeah.
and guidance.
When is your regular iPad help seminars here, Joel?
Regular iPad help. You got, let's see. You're open Monday to Friday, all kinds of help with Windows, but iPad help. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Check our website.
Yep, there it is. The Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from noon to 2. And sound bites on Saturdays, and the next CIDR meeting on October 13th. Next one here is 17th. We'll see y'all then.
You don't have to be a JCC member.
Thanks again.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's a good deal. You fit?
Now we shut everything down. Yep. I don't know if we have any plans for tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of festivals today, is it, that are getting rained out? Yeah.
They have amazing.
That's what it's all about. So,
Oh.
Yeah. Matthew didn't finish his costume, so he didn't want to wear it unfinished. Well, he probably went, but not in costume.